One of the president's friends, Roger Stone, was sentenced this week to 40 months in prison for lying to Congress, obstruction, and for witness tampering. Here was the president's reaction.
I'd love to see Roger exonerated, and I'd love to see it happen, because I personally think he was treated very unfairly.
So here's the question. Stone was convicted specifically for lying about the fact that he, in fact, was trying to get information from WikiLeaks about what they were going to do with the thousands of hacked Democratic emails. Why does the president, and there was a treasure trove of evidence that indicated he had lied about the fact that he was trying to find out from WikiLeaks what they were going to do with the emails. Why does the president think he should be exonerated?
It's possible he'll get exonerated, Chris. I have no interest.
Well, I'm asking you, why does the president think he should be?
I have no interest in being a character witness for Roger Stone. I don't know Roger Stone. I think that lying to federal investigators, he should be prosecuted for. And that's what the Department of Justice did. But I think the president's frustration is you see a Department of Justice that comes in with the original sentencing guideline 4 years beyond what they're supposed to be for sentencing guidelines for his offenses. And yet when you see people like Andy McCabe, who also lied to federal investigators, were referred for investigation, what they get is a lucrative contract at CNN. That doesn't seem to be equitable justice. I think that's what the president's primary frustration is.
But he's not saying he got sentenced for too long. Incidentally, he didn't get the 7 and 9 years. He got 3.5 years, roughly. Here's what the president's own Attorney General, William Barr, said.
I think it was established he was convicted of obstructing Congress and witness tampering, and I thought that was a righteous prosecution. And I was happy that he was convicted.
And the judge in the case, Amy Berman Jackson, said this about Stone. He was not prosecuted, as some have complained, for standing up for the president. He was prosecuted for covering up for the president. So when the president talks about wanting to see Roger Stone get off, to be exonerated, and even raises the possibility that he might pardon him, is that because Roger Stone protected him in the Mueller investigation?
I don't think so, Chris. I think the president, again, is frustrated in seeing what he thinks is an equitable system of justice. I think what he's seen is that the Roger Stone investigation was born out of a Mueller report, is where it started from. The reality is that the Mueller report we've seen did not show Russia collusion. It would seem that our minds...
You had the Attorney General saying it was a righteous prosecution.
And I just share with you that I think he should be prosecuted as well. I think that people who lie to Congress should be prosecuted, Chris. But I think that what's unfair in the system is that those who also were trying to prevent this president from being elected inside their position in the Department of Justice lied about it, leaked information. The Inspector General refers them for prosecution, and what they get is a lucrative contract at a TV network. How is that equitable justice?
Well, I suppose one of the arguments would be just because one guy gets off doesn't mean the other person should.
This is Fox News' Chris Wallace holding the Vice President's Chief of Staff, Mark Short's feet to the fire in the aftermath of the debacle that was Trump and Bill Barr intervening in the sentencing of Roger Stone. And it went south immediately, with Short opting to try and defend a decidedly indefensible intervention by the president. Right off the bat, Short tries to claim that this whole thing was because Trump, as the advocate for fairness in the criminal justice system that we all know he is, simply disagreed with the sentencing recommendation. But here's the thing, these are federal officials. Their job is to uphold the law. So why are they more concerned about the sentence than the fact that Roger Stone tampered with witnesses, that he obstructed a congressional investigation, that he made numerous false statements to the FBI? This isn't someone accidentally rolling through a stop sign. He engaged in a significant, large-scale scheme and was convicted on 7 serious charges in federal court. So why is the President of the United States, who in Article 2 of the Constitution is charged to, quote, take care that the laws be faithfully executed, more concerned with reducing Stone's sentencing than condemning his illegal actions? And look, I don't want to give you the answer here. I mean, it's because he couldn't actually care less about the law and values insulating his inner circle over any adherence to the Constitution. That's the answer. Now, Short goes on to rail against the sentencing guidelines and what a miscarriage of justice it was. Again, not a miscarriage of justice that Roger Stone broke the law like it was going out of style, but that he had to face tough consequences for it. But here's the thing. A, that sentencing recommendation was passed down by the Department of Justice. It's not like the prosecutors here were Hillary Clinton and George Soros. They were part of Trump's DOJ. There were 4 assistant U.S. attorneys, career prosecutors who've served among a number of administrations of both parties. And I know that the Trump administration cannot fathom this, but their sentencing recommendation wasn't about political party, it was about the law. And B, those prosecutors did follow sentencing guidelines. They even filed a sentencing memorandum that noted that the recommendation of 7 to 9 years was, quote, consistent with the applicable advisory guidelines. In other words, Short's entire beef with the sentencing is that it supposedly wasn't aligned with the guidelines, despite the fact that it aligned perfectly with the guidelines. It's like officials from this White House aren't allowed to speak unless what they're saying is patently untrue. And of course, what would a Trump administration official be if not trying to absolve themselves by blaming someone else? He actually tries to defend Roger Stone by pointing to Andrew McCabe. Now, first off, I guess the good news here is that Hillary Clinton got the night off for once. But regarding McCabe, Short could not have picked a worse scapegoat, considering the DOJ abandoned its efforts to seek criminal charges against Andrew McCabe literally 1 week ago. In other words, this Trump administration official is arguing that the real villain here is the former FBI director Andrew McCabe, days after the federal government made a tacit admission that McCabe did nothing wrong by dropping its investigation into him. And I know what you're thinking. The Trump administration continuing to villainize someone they deem a political opponent despite zero evidence of wrongdoing whatsoever? No. But the most absurd point of all is Short's claim that Trump is definitely not defending Roger Stone because he helped him cover up crimes. Nope. Trump is just shilling for the guy because, as we all know, he is a staunch advocate for fairness in the criminal justice system. Donald Trump, the guy who claimed complete and total exoneration after extorting a foreign country for dirt on a political opponent and then orchestrating a cover-up to protect himself. Yup, I think we can all agree that fairness in the judicial system is Trump's top priority. So how about, instead of playing pretend, we just admit what even a child could tell is obvious here. Trump only wanted to save Roger Stone because he was a loyal mouthpiece who continued to heap praise onto the president instead of telling the truth. And because Trump's sole priority isn't justice, it's loyalty, he decided to speak out and intervene on Stone's behalf. That's it. So Mark Short can try and draw some tenuous false equivalency between Roger Stone and Andrew McCabe. He can try and pretend that this is about criminal justice reform, but he's just making a fool of himself. He's performing for an audience of one, and even that guy knows full well that his excuses are complete BS.